Hey, this is Stef, and welcome to the Together Moving Forward podcast. Hello, everyone. I'm Stef Vachon, and I'm a human being. Again, welcome to the Together Moving Forward podcast, family loving and respecting ourselves. This is a podcast for the 2S LGBTQIA plus community, along with our friends, allies, and all human beings. I'm beyond excited about today's episode. To start, I need to say that I'm not a psychologist or specialist or someone with a college degree. I'm just a regular guy here to share with all of you and support each other. I won't tell anyone what to do or how to do things. Instead, I'll share my journey and we will all share our journeys together. We'll learn from each other how to move forward. Okay, I really wanted to have an episode on the gay games. Why is this so important to me? I will tell you all about it. And if you don't know what they are, you absolutely need to know about them. And I really hope and wish you will experience them at least once in your life. My first participation was in 1994 at the New York Gay Games in figure skating. I then also went to the following one in 1998 in Amsterdam. Those are such incredible moments that will forever remain in my heart. They were definitely one of the biggest highlights of my life. And I can't wait to attend them again in Valencia, Spain in 2026, now that I am back on the ice since last summer. The Gay Games helped me save my life in so many ways. They gave me back my passion for performing on the ice and gave me a powerful sense of belonging to a community that celebrates pride and resilience. I will never forget the incredible feeling of walking into the opening ceremonies in a stadium with thousands and thousands of people just like me and from my community, surrounded by such positive energy, knowing that I was part of something truly special. It filled me with hope and joy at the same time when I needed it the most, and for that, I'm forever grateful. Today, we're having a guest from the Federation of the Gay Games who will be explaining to you in more details what they are all about. Before that, though, I have a surprise guest, and I'm way too excited to see him again. I will see him for the first time since 1994. We've only exchanged a few messages lately, and when I had this crazy idea of inviting him to this episode, I found him on social media. His response was a big yes right away. Very quickly, just to put you in context, I was competing at the Gay Games 94 in figure skating in two disciplines. In free skate solo, where you do the jumps and the spins, and in the same-sex couple compulsory dances, being part of the first ever same-sex couple competition in figure skating. I had a previous partner with whom I practiced in Montreal before the games in New York. On the day of the practice, right before the competition, he never showed up. Then, this is why my surprise guest fall into what made those Gay Games even more special. That's all I'm going to say for now, because we are going to meet him in a few, sharing with you the whole story, followed by a guest from the Federation of Gay Games. And I've said I can't wait any longer. Let's go.
Stefan,
Charles.
let me turn my volume up. Wow.
This is so cool. You don't even know after all this time.
I know.
Charles Sinek, I'm so happy to see you again and welcome to the Together Moving Forward podcast.
Well, thank you.
You know, it's been 31 years since we've talked or saw each other. I'm really grateful that you said yes right away. Thank you so much. This is like totally cool. My first question is, what were you doing at the Gay Games in 1994?
Well, I was teaching skating in Clifton Park, New York at the time. And I had a dance couple, two females who were dancing, gay females. They were dancing with each other and for fun. One day they said to me, "Hey, we'd like to compete in the Gay Games." Well, I didn't know anything about that. My first reaction was, sure, why not? And then later I learned more about it. We prepared.
You were a dancer, like a dancer on ice, which is a little bit different from free skating, which what I used to do most. I
Yeah.
did a little bit of dancing, but I did not compete in dance at all. So do you want to just explain a little bit what's the difference between free skating, the jumps and the spin, and you as a dancer? Like, how is it more like to be a dancer on ice?
So as a dancer, it's not a individual sport, if you will. Dancers are paired up with a partner, skating partner. So I had competed as a dancer for many, many, many years, and at national level several times. And this was, in my retirement from competing. I was coaching. I really didn't have a freestyle background. I immediately went into ice dancing. Pair skating is different from dance. Single skating is obviously you skate by yourself. So with pair skating, they're allowed to separate from one another. They're allowed to do overhead lifts.
Yeah.
We are not allowed, or at least at that point, to separate more than arm's length for more than a second. That's pretty much my background with ice dancing.
So if I say, just for people that don't know skating that much, if I say like to be a dancer is more like ballroom on ice.
I think that makes a lot of sense. It helps people picture.
Okay, now let's talk about how we met. But first, if you just want to let me explain a little bit, I did explain a little bit in the intro. What happened to me is that I was supposed to be with a partner, and so I'm there in New York, and then there's going to be the practice right before the competition, and I'm waiting for my partner, and he's not showing up, and I'm calling on my answering machine back in Montreal, and there's nothing, and he's just not showing up. So I go to the organizers, and I'm really disappointed. The guy is there with a microphone, and he looks at me, and I tell him the story that I'm not going to be able to compete. And then he says, wait a minute. So he takes a microphone, and there's a lot of people in the stands. And then, if I remember well, he just said something like, I'm here with a lost puppy, and his partner did not show up. So who would like to come here and compete with him and dance? And I was like, oh my God, like nothing's going to happen, right? A few minutes later, you showed up, but I want you to tell us what happened on your side when you were in the stands, I think, right?
No, I wasn't in the stands. I was with my two ladies.
Okay.
And we were just outside the locker rooms, and I think we were where the announcer was making his announcements. When he made the announcement that unfortunately the level 4 event has to be canceled due to one of the skaters not being able to make it. However, if there's anyone who would like to volunteer to skate with Stefan, please let us know, or something like that. I was at that point like a bystander listening to this. One of my ladies, she grabbed my arm and put it up and said, "He'll do it." Well, the brain works lightning fast, and I was thinking to myself, if I pull my hand down and say no, what would that look like? Let me keep my hand up, and then I can always come up with a real excuse, such as I don't have my skates.
Mm-hmm.
Then that's what I said. I said, well, I'll do it. I would do it, but I don't have my skates. So the announcer asked the audience
Again.
if they would mind offering for Charles to use, their skates. Is there anyone who wants to volunteer their skates to Charles? And I'm thinking to myself, oh God. And then my second thought on that was, why not? So it was a big man, and I'm thinking, he's got big feet. Okay, he's volunteering his custom Harleys to me. There's no way these things are going to be huge, and sure enough, they were. Okay, eventually when I put them on, but his name was Wade.
Yes, and we became such good friends.
I think his last name Corbett.
Yeah.
Okay, and I put the skates on. Yeah, they were quite big, and I believe we had 10 minutes.
We had like just, I don't even know how it was, but it was so short because the time was passing by and then the competition was coming.
I think we met, and are you sure you want to do this? You said.
Well, yeah, because I mean, I know how it is to not skate with your own skates. It's like, it would be like going with the hockey skates. And then on top of it, the dancers' skates are totally different from my skate being a free skater. And Wade was a free skater. So you had to, put up with this. And I remember we had like, maybe like you said, a 10-minute practice, but the practice, I was so scared of making you trip or you tripping because it was so weird for you that I was like really standing away from you and looking at your feet and being like, oh my God, what's going to happen? And so that made me trip even more and made me not be, such a good partner because I was so scared of, oh, he doesn't have his skates, and what's going to happen. And you kept a little bit, feeling weird with the skates. And I think, we only had like a few minutes. The competition was coming.
I thought, oh, okay, I have skates, but what about costumes? We need matching costumes. Well, the two ladies lent their costumes to us. It looked good, actually. It was a black velvety top with puffy sleeves and very, very tight fitting black, I don't know, nylons or like
black tights.
I thought we looked pretty darn good, and they said we had 10 minutes to warm up. Well, the dances was Viennese waltz and Westminster waltz, which are gold level dances.
Pretty hard.
And you said to me, I hope you know the ladies part because I don't.
Well, I knew the steps, but I had never done them with someone, because with my other partner, I was doing the men's steps.
Exactly.
So I knew that the steps, but I had never done them with anyone. So I remember that we tried and I was so bad. You said, no, let's switch. I'm going to do the lady steps.
Yes.
Yes.
Did we even attempt? We
did. Yeah, we did. We did because I remember I was really bad at it. And then after like 30 seconds, we just went one round and you said, no, let's switch. It's going to be better if I do it. And I'm like, great. Yes, you're the dancer. Yes, let's do that.
I had never partnered as a lady either.
Yeah, but you were stronger than me as a dancer. So
I knew the steps and I knew the positions because I had to teach it, but just had never skated. So it's a little different animal when you have to skate it with somebody. So we had 10 minutes, and I think my first few steps on the warm up, I did trip over the toe pick. I think I fell. I believe I fell.
Yeah, I think so too.
And then I tripped another time, but everything was good. Then I believe the competition started to come up with an intro. Oh my gosh, what are we going to do for an intro? And I'm like, just do something simple like this.
Yeah.
And we pulled that together in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Unbelievable. We did quite a nice job on both dances. And we won.
Yeah, we won the gold.
And it's not because the other team wasn't good. It was
they were pretty good. Yeah,
it was because we were that good.
Oh, that is so cool. And now, after we did our dances, and then we found out that we had won the gold medal. And with all of this, it's just, it was so cool to see everybody just coming together in such a short time. And they were like, everybody was coming to us and trying to help us in every way, like the skates, the costume, and everything. So we just finished our performance, and then we found out we won. And then there's interviews, like there's the TV's there, and then the host is asking you questions because obviously you're a well-known skater in the
Right.
States. And then she asked the question and she says, okay, Charles, so how do you feel about being at the gay games and being a straight man? And I was in shock because I didn't know. And I went right in the interview. I said, what? You're straight? And then you turned to me, yeah. And then you just followed back with the interview. And there, I mean, my mind is going like, oh my God, but we danced together. We held each other's hand. And Charles, I never felt any uncomfort of your part, none of it. So I think this is why I was so in shock, because you were just so pleasant and extremely cool about the whole thing. You were just participating and having fun as much as I was. That made it even more special to me. This is the mission of this podcast and why I'm doing this too, because we all human beings, right? And we all, the same. And what you gave me at the gay games, from, being, first of all, a straight man and being there and just participating and dancing with me, it made me so special. And so I remember looking at you, I was like, oh my God, he's like my prince, my gay games prince, because I was not gonna have been able to do all of this if it wasn't for you, So it is such an amazing memory that I will, cherish my whole life, because it was so. Thank you so much.
I have just about the same memory with a few more details. They had reporters from all around the world, and they lined up to get our interview. Near the end, it was the New York Daily News who wanted to interview us in private. And that's when we went upstairs to the announcer's box, I believe.
Yeah.
I sat to your left, and the interviewer's first question was exactly what you said. How did it feel, or whatever it was, however she posed that question. And you fell to your knees and turned towards me and put your head on grab my feet with your hands or my ankles and put your head on my feet and started apologizing to me.
Really?
I'm so sorry. I didn't know. And I
oh my God. Now, okay, you're saying this. I had forgotten about that.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Wow.
And I was not knowing what to do. I've never been in a situation like that before.
Wow.
So I said something kind of, a bit terse, maybe. I said, Stefan, get off the floor and sit down.
just like an old couple, Oh, that's so. I forgot about that. Oh my God, that's so funny.
And I think you were even you were crying a little bit.
Oh my God! See, that is so. Why would I say I'm sorry? Like today, with who I am, I would have been. But I think I was scared of how you were feeling about it. But see how the way I saw things 31 years ago, I was having a really hard time in accepting, myself and what I had been through as a young boy. So this is why I think I reacted that way. But then, wow, I can't believe I had forgotten about that.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing.
And do you remember the headline of the article that was written?
Refresh my memory.
Sinek skates straight to gold.
Yes. 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 Wow. That is so cool. See, I had forgotten a lot of things about it. That is so amazing.
Yeah. And the next morning, we had an interview with Curtis Sliwa at his studio.
My God. We had like many interviews. Like, you made me famous.
Well, it was early. I think it was a 7 a.m. interview. And so wherever it was in New York, we went to his studio.
Yes.
And he took calls. We answered.
Yep. I remember now.
And I remember one of the questions was, did it bother you that Stefan is gay or straight? Yeah. I answered it truthfully. I believe I said something along the lines, it's not an issue. And that's why I never brought it up, because it's not an issue.
But when we were holding hands and skating together, like how did you feel? Like, what was your emotions or your thoughts? I'm really curious.
Well, I'm trying to. First of all, I didn't even think twice about it. Quite honestly, this is we're doing something that's history in the making, and I'm doing it not just for that, but I wanted to see you compete. The competition wouldn't have gone on if it had continued the way it was, because there were only two couples. I really I felt for you, and I wanted you to experience competing, something you prepared for. And it was also a challenge for me to see if how it would turn out. It was also a bit of entertainment for the audience.
Totally. Totally.
My two ladies were counting on me to kick ass. They believed in me, and I didn't want to let them down either. A number of reasons. And no, I didn't feel any sort of way, and I still hold those beliefs today. It's about the person, how they present themselves to me. Are they kind? Are they good people? That's all that really counts. Most people, I would like to think most people are like that.
Unfortunately, not. But I mean, you were one of them, so that made it so special. This is like so cool. That I can't believe there was so many parts I had forgotten. Thank you for reminding me. This is so nice. Okay, so I was chatting with Lois Elfman on social media. She's the one that wrote an article about you performing at the Gay Games in their skating magazine, which is the official publication of US figure skating. Now, she wrote me something, and I want to read it to you, and then we'll talk about it. So here what she wrote. So Charles has credited the Gay Games experience stepping in the last moment and winning with reigniting his competitive desire. The following year, he teamed up with Beata Handra. Did I say right?
Beata Handra, yes.
Beata Handra, to whom he's been married for 27 years. they got the second ice dance spot to the 2002 Olympic team and competed at the Winter Olympics in Salt Lake City. If he hadn't had the competitive performance at the Gay Games, he probably would have continued on with his coaching career and never come back to competition and met his wife. And that's before I reached out to you. When I read that, I was like, wow. So, really, am I a little bit of the reason why you went to the Olympics and you met your wife?
So you're a big part of the reason.
Wow.
Had I not had that experience, Lois is right. I would have just stayed on as a coach and continued that way. After we competed, and I proved to myself that, man, I guess I have a little talent, having never skated as the lady in a skating with another person and doing as good of a job as we did. That's pretty incredible. I believe it was Anne Greenthal or maybe Bob Horan said to me after that competition, you ought to think about getting back into competing, get yourself a partner because we need some good male dancers. And so I started the reinstatement process almost immediately. At the same time, I was looking for a skating partner near the beginning of 95, February, March or so. Found Beata.
Wow. And then when did you guys fell in love?
Well, that didn't take us long. I was a year after we met. I moved to California. We married. We have 2 kids, a 7-year-old boy.
Congratulations.
And a 20-month.
Wow. It's too bad that didn't make me go to the Olympics too. I'm kidding. But that makes it so much more special that
I really don't think that I would have thought about reinstating had it not been for that experience in '94 at the Gay Games.
See, like you never know, huh? You never know, like something doesn't go your way and then something else can happen and make it such an incredible and special thing in your life, So that makes it even so much more special to me. Because I didn't know about it until I knew that you went back to skating into the Olympics. I found out later, but I didn't know that it was probably because of our dancing. When Lars told me that, I was shocked. I was like happily shocked. I thought that was so cool. So this is when I was starting to work on this podcast, and I knew I wanted to do something about the Gay Games because I went twice, and they were so incredible to me. And this is after talking with Lois, I said, I don't know if I should ask Charles to come. I don't know if he would agree, what he's going to think about it. See, I had the same thing that when we danced together after, and I'm like, no, I'm going to ask him. And right away you said yes. And I thought, oh, he's the same Charles. So, open-minded and cool. And so thank you so much for saying yes to this too. I think it reminds me so many good memories too.
This is really fantastic. I think fondly quite often about the Gay Games and you and how you're doing. Kind of kept up with things that you've been doing throughout the years.
I did too. So this was so amazing to see you again.
Let's not lose touch.
That would be really cool. Yeah. Thank you so much again.
No, thank you. It was, again, if I didn't have that experience, my life would have turned out a little differently. I like my life. It's a good life.
Good. Wow.
So, thanks. I'll talk to you another day.
Yeah. Who knows?
Okay.
Okay. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
They borrowed skates from another competitor. They borrowed the costumes from two of the other women skaters, correct? And they went on to win the gold medal in the men's compulsory dance level 4. Unbelievable! Please welcome from Team Edmonton, Stef Vachon, and the skating coach from Boston, Charles Sinek. Wow!
So, hello, Adrian, and thank you for being with us on the Together Moving Forward podcast, and welcome.
Thank you. I'm delighted to be here.
And as I said in the intro, the gay games were such a big part of my life and was such a big highlight. So I'm really happy you're here to explain more about it. So just to start, what is your role in the Federation of Gay Games?
So currently I am Vice President of External Relations, which deals with the marketing, communications, external visibility of the Federation of Gay Games.
What are the core objectives of the gay games and how do they promote inclusivity within the LGBTQ plus community?
So we have three main values that we centralize our mission. Those values are participation, personal best, and inclusion. Participation in the sense that we want as many people to partake in the games as possible. Personal best is for everyone to do their best. It's not a competitive games in the sense of the Olympics, if that's a comparison to use. We want everyone to achieve their best in whatever sport they happen to play in, or whatever cultural event they happen to take part in as well. And at the same time, we have inclusion, which means from a LGBTQ plus perspective, everybody is included, everybody is valued, everybody is welcomed, and people can play the sport in the gender they choose to play in, and that's their decision. Whatever they feel most comfortable is how they can join the games. And that's something that's fundamental in these current, rather more turbulent times that we are facing at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. And just from my experience, I remember just the camaraderie of everybody and going to see other sports and other events. And it just felt so fabulous to see everyone just participating in everything.
And that's the great thing about having such a wide range of different sports. But also you get to learn and meet and greet and socialize with loads of people from different cultures, different backgrounds. It's about learning about other people as well. And I think it's a great event for bringing that diversity, inclusion together, but also together globally from different places from around the world. And when you have 10, 12,000 people in one city all competing and playing together, it's quite an amazing experience.
Yes. Could you share some personal stories from participants about what the gay games mean to them?
Sure. No, I think for me, having been both a participant and I'm also as a volunteer on the board, you obviously have different perspectives to the games, and obviously I see all the work that goes behind the scenes. And what builds up to the games, and then seeing people enjoying the work that we've been able to create for them. And that's really important, that I think people's personal lives change. People I know that have met at gay games have gone on to marry, become civil partnerships or marriages, depending on where they are in the world. The gay games is known as a place to change people's lives. And when you're meeting 10 to 12,000 different athletes from around the world, anything's possible. And I think it's fair to say that over the course of time, many relationships, friendships have grown through the gay games as a way of developing new relationships and new friendships. And I think it's really quite an amazing event for that to happen. And to be part of that is even more special, especially where you may have met someone perhaps from a different culture, different background, totally different experience to you, but there's some kind of connection that you just can't put your finger on, but you know it's because of the gay games exist, that's why it happens, and that's the magic of it.
Yeah, I've met some really great friends. I've made some really great friends with the gay games, and I'm still in touch with them. So that's pretty great. How have the games influenced individual journeys within the LGBTQ plus sports community?
Well, I think there are different levels within the sports community, in the sense that, for instance, we've had some very famous competitors who have retired from their sporting experience and then come and supported us afterwards, so when they retired. We've also had some people who've started their journeys with the gay games and then gone on to compete at international levels elsewhere. So it's very much a sort of perhaps a starting point for some people, and perhaps people particularly um, who perhaps find it difficult to be out in sport. The gay games is an easier route in, rather than perhaps putting yourself through the torturous activities of perhaps playing with or hiding one's sexuality in sport to then compete in, say, football, as an example, because we know there are very few out gay players when they actually play, and some come out after they've retired. Same for many other sports as well, because it's more difficult to be open and out when you start. So that gay games gives you an opportunity to go somewhere else, perhaps find your happiness with yourself as well, to then enable you to go on to do things afterwards. But more difficult sometimes for people who are already in sport and didn't know about the gay games, and their sexuality is something that is difficult to come out with whilst they're competing at, say, international or Olympic level.
What are the plans for the upcoming gay games in Valencia, Spain, scheduled in July 2026?
Yeah, so we're really looking forward to the next games, as I competed back in the last games in 2023 in Guadalajara and Hong Kong, so we had a joint hosting. The next gay games, as you say, is in sort of June, July 2026. And we're already at the point of registrations. People are already signing up to go. We'll probably have about 1,500 so far, so that's a good start. But we obviously want to get to the sort of 10,000, 12,000 athletes that we have had at previous games in Paris and Sydney, in Cologne, where that level of participation and activity means that the whole of Valencia will be flooded for those 12 days of competition, with 36 sports and multiple other events, including culture and pride bands and concerts and exhibitions. So it's a whole gamut of activities. Yes, sport is essentially one thing everyone knows about, but the culture is just as important as well. And I know my cultural officer on the board, Anthony, will want culture to be emphasized just as much as the sport element to Valencia. And Valencia is an amazing city. People will love it. So having the games in Valencia in Spain will hopefully embolden the participants from countries in Southern Europe, Spain, Portugal, Italy, Greece, to bolster their numbers in comparison to perhaps the Northern European countries that have dominated previously. So we're looking forward to have Valencia as the hosts our first time in Spain.
How do the organizers envision the future of the gay games in promoting diversity and inclusion?
Well, I think we have to think more globally these days, and I think that's one of the reasons why we had the games in Hong Kong and Mexico, because we went to Asia and sort of Central America for the first time ever. But there are still other places in the world we haven't yet been to. We've not had the games in South America, and we haven't had the games in Africa. So I think from a expansion perspective, we obviously want the games to grow. We want to be more inclusive. We want to ensure that everyone who participates can participate as they wish in the gender that they wish to be in. And those sort of standard things are not going to change. I think what can change is our impact globally on how can we increase the participation, increase the visibility of what we do. I'm not going to say that we can rival the Olympics because we just don't have the kind of backing in terms of sponsorship and things that major sporting events do. But what I do think we can do is create a passion and extent of which increases its visibility, not just through my pillar as the external relation pillar, because I think it's a really important role that we have, but also expanding that from a cultural perspective and trying to bring in those different elements around the world that perhaps haven't taken part before, or we haven't been on there in their countries, and to therefore increase that participation, and not just from the traditional places of the US and Canada and the UK. We need to go wider. So Far East. We had the games in Hong Kong, but how many participants did we have from Malaysia or Iran or Papua New Guinea? So that I think I can only see that we can do more at a global level.
How do the gay games integrate cultural events alongside sports to celebrate LGBTQ plus identities?
Well, I think that's part of the really key thing about bringing those two elements of the gay games together. And obviously, the sporting events have to happen at certain periods of time. They take a certain number of days to compete different sports with different events. So the cultural events are generally made throughout the evening or throughout daytime, where perhaps there are not specific, major finals going on. So we do have to do a lot of scheduling to make sure all those balances are brought around the games. And there are obviously other events going on at the same time of the sporting events, which may be exhibitions, which may be conferences, which may also be sort of cultural practices for music and dance and all that kind of thing as well. Try and then make sure they're available for the evening. So it's a big job. I think people underestimate the amount of work sometimes that goes on behind the scenes to make sure all the elements of the gay games fits together.
Can you discuss the role of the gay games in challenging stereotypes and fostering acceptance?
I think that goes to the core of the gay games about the world of inclusion and how we want to ensure that everyone who participates can participate in the sport they wish to, in the gender they choose, and the position they feel most happiest. And that fosters a absolute core activity of including everyone, welcoming everyone however they wish to identify, and at the same time making sure that this acceptance is driven globally. We know that there are challenges in the world today, even in countries where we would have expected this not to be the case. So we know how important that camaraderie, that friendliness, that welcoming and fostering attitude of inclusion and acceptance is a key part of the gay games. And for many, it's also a security part. It's a safety part. They come to a place where they feel secure and safe. They can compete in a safe environment. Some people are coming from countries where they may not even be able to be open about their sexuality. They may have laws that discriminate against them. So to have a safe place to come and compete and be fostering those acceptance and love for people to enjoy sport, and at the same time realizing that for many it's quite a big challenge, and therefore we provide that safe, secure space for people to be themselves, which is the most important thing.
Well, Adrian, thank you so much for being here with us today. I think it's gonna maybe push people to register. Like, I didn't register yet, but for sure I'm going and I will register. And I really can't wait to go. And hopefully we'll get to meet each other.
I very much look forward to that, Stef, and really thank you for asking myself to be on here and doing this as Vice President of the External Relations for the Federation of Gay Games. Really appreciate it.
we'll see you in Valencia, I guess.
Valencia, definitely. All
Thank
right.
you. Take care.
You too.
Bye. I hope you enjoyed this episode as much as I did. It was such a wonderful gift to see Charles again and to introduce you to Adrian, who shared more about what the gay games are. I didn't have time to talk about Amsterdam 98, but for me, they were just as fabulous as New York 94. I performed in solo free skating and with my partner, Constantin Miranov, in same-sex pairs free skating, where we became known as the Silver Couple. We were even asked to perform on roller skates at the closing ceremonies in the 50,000-seat Amsterdam Arena, where the event was broadcast on Dutch TV. It was absolutely incredible. Recently, I converted some really old VHS tapes to digital and made it 2 short videos about the gay games, which you can now watch on social media. This will give you a great idea of what the gay games meant to me. Those were truly unforgettable moments that will always hold a special place in my heart. And I can't wait to be a part of this again in Valencia, Spain in 2026. My dear friends, it's already time to say au revoir just for now. Thank you all so much for being here with me and for being a part of this amazing community. It means a lot to me to be able to share these stories with you. Join me next Wednesday for another episode of the Together Moving Forward podcast. Well, we'll keep sharing stories that uplift, empower, and bring us closer as a community. Everybody, share this podcast and spread the good news. Remember, solidarity beats hate. The more we unite, the stronger we become. Because at the end of the day, we were all equally human and we all deserve the same rights. One last thing before I go. Put your hand on your heart and repeat after me, all of us together. I love and accept myself unconditionally. Yay, I can finally say the word properly. Okay, one more time. I love and accept myself unconditionally. My dear friends, see you next week. Ciao.